we've tried to run camps.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of this year, we were going to run a camp. We are going to have a friendly versus Guatemala. That was a very famous camp because there were some dual nationals who were supposed to come down for that, right?
Yeah.
Stefan Mitrovic was supposed to come in for that. It was supposed to see them and some other players. And as has been our biggest, I maintain, outside of Romania, because I see a lot of Romanian tweets, I think our biggest enemy in terms of getting dual nationals in was the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because we canceled so many large camps where we could have seen more players. And it was always the big camps. And it was always, there was an outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not do it. Let's just bring the normal team in and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
When you look at, so when you look at like this year, and it's overall, I think it's a statement I feel about the association, the federation. I feel like we need to be better at running camps and getting players in, just to have them looks and just expand the field. To kind of start off from that point, how do you feel? I mean, you can talk about how you felt about not playing Guatemala, but how do you feel about that notion of just camps, seeing players a little bit with the dual national conversation, just to start off? Because that is kind of where we were starting this year.
Well, it's everything, right? So that's the foundation that your national team is built upon. So you want to have instilled a style of play, a sort of vision, what it means to represent Canada, as well as a core of players at those youth levels. And every step of the way, whether it be even from as young as the U15 level to U17, obviously, up to eventually the national team, the senior men's national team. You want to have guys who have had a little bit of experience representing Canada, kind of knowing what it's about, and then hopefully growing up with each other, competing with each other, so that when they do reach the senior level, there's an element of familiarity. And I think all the best national teams in the world have that to a degree. So that was a huge miss. And obviously, when you're a country that relies on dual nationals like Canada does, every single person in this country is a dual national. Like essentially, for obviously some people aren't, but I mean 90% of people are eligible to represent multiple nations in this country, whether they were born here, whether they were born somewhere else. That's just the nature of being a young country, relatively speaking, and a country of immigrants, which Canada is. So, getting those camps in, I would say, is even more important for a country like Canada, where all of your players do have a secondary nationality, or in many cases, even a tertiary nationality. And maybe unlike a country like Argentina, where it's like that this is our pool of players. Everyone here is eligible for Argentina, and that's it. Like maybe the need to have them in a U17 setting isn't as important, because if they slip through the cracks, you don't really have to worry about them going anywhere. They're still going to be there. They're still going to be in the pool. And maybe you get them in the U19 camps after. So my point is, I think it's especially important for countries like Canada, the US, and a few of these other countries that have that are largely immigrant countries, that every single playing person in the country has opportunities to represent multiple national teams. You need to get them in your setup and sort of prove to them why they should, represent Canada. And for many of them, the decision is easy, and it's just the country that's given them opportunities, or the country that they've grown up in and lived their whole lives in. But for some of them, it's not quite that simple, right? Because they've moved at young ages, or maybe they were born in another country and then moved here in their early teens. Whatever the case is, for every player, it's different. But your best bet at securing as many of those types of players as possible is obviously having consistent youth camps, instilling what it is to play for Canada, instilling sort of a style of play, and building, I think, a little bit of that pride of like representing Canada, that if you don't give them that opportunity, you'll see them take with another country, and most likely that'll be what sways them away. So it's for a country like Canada, it's like those camps are everything, and I don't think we put nearly enough priority on it. And my proof of that is it's currently 5:52 p.m. and I believe 6 p.m. Canada has a U17 match going on in Mexico, and we can't find anything about it. Like I want to find an 11.
Yes.
I know who's on the squad, but that's about it. They play against Costa Rica and Mexico in a few minutes. That game should be kicking off. So it's like, that's kind of an example of like how far our youth programs have lagged behind. At least we're having camps now. At least like we're understanding the value of camps and getting our players in some of these tougher environments to go play in Mexico against Mexico and Costa Rica. That's a step forward, but I still think we're way behind when it comes to just giving the players the sort of platform that they need to take that next step. And that's where kind of Mission 26 comes in, or at least the hope and the goal. And even for somebody who's like trying to dig out every journalist in Costa Rica today and trying to figure out like how I could possibly get updates on this game for Mission 26, even I'm struggling to do that, right? So you can imagine just for the average Canadian fan who wants to follow along, like it's just simply too difficult to do so.